rise. The Commission on Judicial Appointments is now in session. The Honorable Patricia Carrillo presiding. You may be seated.
Good morning and welcome to the public hearing of the Commission on Judicial Appointments. As Chief Justice of California, I chair the Commission. The other members of the Commission are Attorney General Rob Bonta and Presiding Justice Jim Humes, and Janelle Baker serves as Secretary to the Commission. This hearing is to consider Governor Gavin Newsom's appointment of Judge Danny Chou to the Office of Associate Justice, Court of Appeal, 1st Appellate District, Division 5. The Commission is in receipt of a letter from Governor Newsom appointing Judge Chou to fill the vacancy created by the retirement of Justice Henry E. Needham. The state constitution specifies that an appointment by the governor to the Court of Appeal is effective when confirmed by the Commission on Judicial Appointments. The Commission received correspondence pertaining to the appointment, and we made the letters available to the public and the press a few days ago. Pursuant to a request by Governor Newsom, the State Bar's Commission on Judicial Nominees Evaluation, Jenny, it's easier to say that way, has undertaken an evaluation of the qualifications of Judge Chou for this position. Mr. Justin Palmer, Chair of the Commission, is present to share the results of that evaluation later in these proceedings. Judge Chou has asked that the following persons be called to testify on his behalf. I will list you and then ask you to come to the podium or to appear virtually. Mr. David A. Carrillo, Executive Director, California Constitution Center. The Honorable Jonathan E. Karesh, am I pronouncing that? Karesh, thank you. Judge of the Superior Court of California, County of San Mateo, and the Honorable Therese M. Stewart, Presiding Justice of the Court of Appeal, 1st Appellate District, Division 2. We first invite Mr. Carrillo to the podium, virtually appearing. Thank you. Mr. Carrillo. Whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Honorable members of the Commission, my name is David Carrillo, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity because there's no greater honor than being asked to stand witness to someone's quality. So please accept my testimony and evidence about Judge Danny Chou's intellect, character, and judgment. I learned of his intellect in our time litigating together at the San Francisco City Attorney's Office. Thankfully, never in opposition. He would crush me like a bug. Also, during our time teaching our seminar on California constitutional law for over a decade now at Berkeley Law, and most importantly, in our time writing together. I think you have to really learn how someone thinks when you write something together, because writing is thinking at its hardest, and Judge Chou is an excellent writer. In the many things we co-authored, I learned that Judge Chou has, without question, the smartest, best, literary/scholarly mind I've ever encountered. I think character is who you are when no one's looking, and Judge Chou shows his character when he's not at work. Sure, he works hard and he excels at it, but we all do. It's everything else he does. It is bar service, nonprofit work, mentoring, and scholarship that shows that he's motivated by higher purposes than profit, advancement, or advantage. Instead, he's driven by his own sense of ordered justice and a vision for how he can make it real. He does that with his own good works, both achieving his ends and setting an example of right conduct. Regarding his judgment, he's a thinker, and not merely so. He engages in metacognition, thinking about his thought process and how he thinks, changing it as needed. He has a clear vision of the law, what it is, what it could be, and what it might be. He once told me, I don't make threats, I find notions, which I think shows his dispassionate view of the law as the people's business. Above all, he's driven by the desire to be just, and I submit that this is the mindset you want in someone who will sit in judgment over his fellow citizens. I'll close by thanking the Commission for this opportunity and noting that the Governor has set this honor of the tribunal a rare combination of a well-loved trial judge and a widely respected legal scholar. Judge Chou has the intellectual firepower, the trustworthy character, and the considered judgment that characterizes the best of the appellate bench. Governor Newsom could not have chosen better here. California's people and the law will be well served by this appointment. I urge the honorable members to each vote to confirm without hesitation or delay. And unless there are any questions, with that I have nothing further.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carrillo, for your very detailed and thoughtful comments on describing all of the important characteristics of the nominee. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We next invite Judge Karesh to the podium.
Chief Justice Guerrero, Presiding Justice Humes, and Attorney General Bonta. I am Judge Jonathan Karesh of the San Mateo County Superior Court, and it is an honor and a privilege to speak today in support of the confirmation of Judge Danny Chou to the Court of Appeal. I first met Danny when he joined our bench in 2018, and it quickly became apparent that he was someone special who would excel as a Superior Court judge, and that's exactly what happened. I'm especially familiar with his work because I was presiding judge in 2019 and 2020, the first year of the COVID pandemic. Without question, Danny is one of our best judges. The word I sometimes use to describe him is superstar. He's exceptionally bright, hardworking, and is willing to successfully handle any type of case that is assigned to him, no matter how difficult. When I was presiding judge, I relied on Danny's advice and counsel numerous times, and he was one of the first judges that I contacted if I had an important legal issue that I needed help with. For example, early in the COVID pandemic, the court faced a serious challenge regarding the failure of some of our justice partners to disclose when an attorney or party in one of our courtrooms tested positive for COVID-19. I asked Danny to research the legal issues and draft a disclosure policy. This was a problem with many complex legal issues, and working collaboratively with the county counsel's office, which represented our justice partners, he came up with a successful policy that the court implemented, which balanced the right of privacy with the need to protect court staff. When I was presiding judge and worked closely with the staff of the Master Calendar Department, the staff always liked to schedule him for calendars because they knew he would do whatever calendar they asked him to do successfully and without complaint. In 2021, San Mateo County shifted from a master calendar system to a direct calendar system in civil cases. Direct civil is an enormously challenging assignment due to the volume and complexity of the cases, and my successor as presiding judge had the same high opinion of Danny that I had and assigned him to that assignment, which of course he excelled. Of Danny's many excellent qualities, the one that stands out most is his demeanor. He's a team player, he's friendly, he's always there to lend a hand, and is enormously well liked by his colleagues. Lawyers on both sides desire to be in his courtroom because they know they're going to get a fair hearing from him and because he will treat them and their clients with respect. So in summary and in conclusion, I cannot think of a better candidate for the Court of Appeal, and he has my highest recommendation and my complete support. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Karesh. I think you learned a lot about someone having spent time with them in those roles during the pandemic. So thank you for your service as well. And thank you for your feedback. We'll next hear from Justice Stewart.
Chief Justice Guerrero, Justice Humes, and Attorney General Bonta. It's an honor to be here. I don't remember it. I think this might be your second or third of these, but it's so nice to have you as our leader. I've known Danny, well, that's what I call him, Judge Danny Chou, for almost his entire career as a lawyer and more recently a judge. You know, his resume, which has about 7 different employers over his 8 years out of law school, might make it seem like he's a little restless. But, which, you know, for a premillennial, I'm just saying. But although I've only worked with Danny for, directly in 2 of those iterations, I can assure you that he's been well regarded, and all who have worked with him have enjoyed learning from him and growing with him, and that includes myself. When I first met him in 1995, I learned that he had something not too many lawyers have, which is a degree in science. I think, is it microbiology? biochemistry, it's even worse. And we thought he would be at the firm, we thought he was a budding patent litigation lawyer. And he could have been, but as I will explain, his path took a different turn. My first impression of him, though, was as someone really serious. You know, he has a demeanor that can be quite serious. But as I came to know him, I remember learning that he was heavily into rollerblading and played roller hockey. And later in his career, he coached a girls' volleyball team. And he spent a lot of time doing youthful things until, you know, I think his wife, who I will introduce later, maybe put a stop to some of the things that could have killed him once they had children. But while he's smart and talented and his background indicated he would be, he's not as nerdy as he first appeared to me to be. There were other sides to him. So he left the law firm to go into public service, working for the courts, first the Ninth Circuit and then the California Supreme Court. And he was a judicial staff attorney to Justice Janice Rogers Brown. In 2002, when I left the firm myself and joined the city attorney's office, I started at once to try to, reel Danny into the city attorney's office. And it took me a few years, but once, at that point, he was no longer a budding patent attorney and had become more well-rounded with his judicial experience as a clerk. And the city doesn't patent a lot of inventions, so I was glad that he had a more well-rounded portfolio. But it was interesting because I wondered what it would be like for him to go from clerking for Justice Janice Rogers Brown, who was what you might say a little more conservative than the city and county of San Francisco, and in fact once called us in a takings case the People's Republic of San Francisco, and going from the one to the other. That I wouldn't go so far as to say they were extremes, but they're different in their philosophies. So, but Danny's not an ideological kind of guy, and he's someone who can work with all kinds of people and be respected and admired. And so when Justice Brown left to go to D.C. on the Court of Appeal there, the federal court, I succeeded in my quest to get him to our office. And one of the positions that he held there really showed his leadership. And he was, at the time, really, I guess he always had the qualities, but he was growing into it. And that was Chief of Appeals, because in that role, he had to, oversee what people who were mainly trial lawyers were doing in the appellate courts and try to make sure it was of high quality and didn't make arguments that some of us with perhaps less tact might have said, "Are you kidding me?" And Danny never said that, like when they wanted to bring an argument. He gently worked with them, cajoled them, and they all loved him. They didn't chafe. And in fact, a lot of them asked him to argue their cases. And he did everything from employment law to civil rights law to tort law and government immunities and workers' compensation. And in some of those, he argued some pretty important appeals. And I just want to say that Danny argued a Ninth Circuit case and shared the argument with a youngish deputy city attorney who is now our attorney general. And it was a very difficult civil rights case that went en banc. And they split the argument and became close friends, I think maybe partly out of that experience, although I think they knew each other before. But it's just people trust him, people he worked with and knew he would do well by them. I wouldn't do his career justice without mentioning the work that he did with our team at the city attorney's office on the marriage equality litigation. I only imagined what his former boss thought of that litigation, but I didn't dwell on it. He was an indispensable part of our team, whether we were in the trial court, in the Court of Appeal, or in the High Court. And I think he's a great lawyer, now he's a judge, but he's a great judge, no matter what the case. The one experience that I want to mention in his capacity as a judge, in which I didn't work with him directly, and I probably would have recused myself had something from him come to me because of our close relationship. But when he was on the San Mateo Superior Court, a case came up to us that involved a later decision in which Danny had ruled in an earlier decision on the same case, but not the same issue and so forth. But I got to read the transcript and his his statement of decision in this very difficult domestic violence case. And I was just so wowed by how sensitively and carefully he dealt with something that emotionally fraught. And it just was a pleasure to be able to see his work play out, his talent play out in that way. So I want to turn very briefly to his family and just tell you that from the time I first met him, Danny always talked about Sujung, and then his girlfriend and now his wife. And she's been a huge support to him, and she's here today with her children, Iris and Ian, and Sujung's mother, Jung. And he's always talked about them since they came into the world. And I love to hear about their exploits because, like my dad used to say, you'll have kids and they'll be worse than you were. And I cheer them on silently when I give them a hard time. But, he's a family man. He talks about his mom, who was a scientist. And I just want to underscore that Danny is a good, well-rounded person in addition to a judge. But he's also somebody who has all the talent, the dedication. He cares, as Mr. Carrillo said, about justice and about the justice system deeply. He's a public servant in the true sense. And he has the humility and sense of humor that will make him an excellent colleague. And I've heard nothing but good things by the folks he's pro temp with. So Division 5 will be very lucky to have him if this body confirms him, and I highly recommend that you do so.
Thank you so much, Justice Stewart. I know you've been at that podium many times, but it's always a pleasure. Thank you. The Commission now invites the Chair of the Judicial Nominees Evaluation Commission, Mr. Palmer, for the report of the evaluation conducted by them.
I never really need a microphone, so I'm going to do my best. Good morning to everyone. Happy Friday. Chief Justice Guerrero, Attorney General Bonta, Justice Humes, I am honored to present this report on behalf of the Commission of Judicial Nominations Evaluation, or Ginny for short, to summarize the basis of the Commission's rating for Judge Danny Chou of the Office of Associate Justice of the Court of Appeal, 1st Appellate District, Division 5. Commission conducted its evaluation of Judge Chou on June 24, 2023, unanimously finding him to be exceptionally well qualified for service on the 1st District Court of Appeal. According to Commission rules, that rating reflects the Commission's determination that Judge Chou possesses qualities and attributes of remarkable or extraordinary superiority that enable him to perform the appellate judicial function with distinction. Judge Chou was born and raised in Maryland to first-generation immigrants from China. Judge Chou credits his parents for teaching him the important virtues of kindness, honesty, generosity, patience, and empathy. Judge Chou received his BA from Harvard University in 1991, graduating magna cum laude. He earned his JD from Harvard Law School in 1994, graduating cum laude. After law school, Judge Chou served a one-year clerkship with Judge Stanley Weigel of the United States District Court for the Northern District of California. Judge Chou began his legal career as a litigation associate at Howard, Rice, Nemirovsky, Kennedy, Falk, and Rabin, now Arnold, Porter, Case, Scholler, LLP in 1995, handling patent, trademark, trade secrets, contracts, and tort cases. Judge Chou left the private sector in 1998 to join the United States Court of Appeal, Ninth Circuit, as a staff attorney. While there, Judge Chou honed his writing and oral argument skills, preparing and presenting draft opinions to 3 judge panels, deciding the cases. After 15 months at the Ninth Circuit, Judge Chou accepted a position as a judicial staff attorney at the California Supreme Court, where he was assigned to the chambers of Justice Janice Rogers Brown. He assisted Justice Brown by researching and writing opinions in civil and criminal appeals. 2006 to 2012, Judge Chou worked at the San Francisco City Attorney's Office, initially as Chief of Appellate Litigation, then as Chief of Complex and Special Litigation. He and 2 other colleagues crafted the legal strategy that eventually invalidated Proposition 8, the voter initiative ban on same-sex marriage, and other complex cases involving affirmative action, class action disputes filed in the state and federal courts. In 2012, Judge Chou was appointed Assistant County Counsel for the County of Santa Clara, managing all appeals on behalf of the county and federal and state courts. He also supervised various teams of attorneys within the office, including social justice and impact litigation, governmental ethics, probate, and the health and hospital team. In December 2017, Judge Chou was appointed to his current position as a Mateo County Superior Court Judge, San Mateo County Superior Court Judge. In that role, he has effectively managed all aspects of civil and criminal cases, including felony and misdemeanor arraignments, motions, and felony and misdemeanor cases, preliminary hearings, pretrial conferences, and jury trials. In addition, Judge Chou has presided over a number of complex civil cases, has served on the Appellate Division of the Superior Court, and as the grand jury judge. Judge Chou is married with 2 children, ages 7 and 11. He is an avid sports fan, and he enjoys riding bikes, playing various sports with his kids. He also enjoys science fiction and fantasy football. Judge Chou has contributed to the community outside of the legal realm, coaching volleyball and soccer at area high schools and coaching youth at the YMCA. Most recently, he speaks to scout troops about the role of judges and courts in the courtroom. Judge Chou also has devoted substantial time to teaching constitutional law, trial advocacy, and legal writing at various law schools. He is the co-author of a textbook on the California Constitution and has served as a speaker or moderator at 20 symposiums hosted by various law schools, bar association, and courts. He's been active on various boards and committees, including the Asian American Bar Association and the State Bar of California and the California Constitutional Center at Berkeley Law. Judge Chou has excelled in every position he has held during his nearly 30-year career. Through that career, he has developed a breadth of experience in both trial and appellate practice in varied areas of substantive law. The Commission's investigation revealed that he is universally praised for his work ethic, collegiality, creative thinking, writing skills, and even temperament, and that is ideally suited to serve on the Court of Appeal. For all these reasons, the Commission determined Judge Chou exceptionally well qualified for the First District Court of Appeal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Palmer, for your report and the work of your commission. The commission now invites Judge Chou to the podium to present a statement, if you wish, and to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you. Chief Justice Guerrero, Presiding Justice Humes, and Attorney General Mata. It is truly an honor to be here today and to have you consider my nomination to the First District. I wanted to take this opportunity first to thank my speakers, David, John, and Terry, with a special shout out to David, who's actually in Japan, which is why he's not here. And I had to wake up at 2 a.m. in order to speak here today. I also wanted to thank Michael Nieto, Ori Korb, Owen Clements, and Judge Elizabeth Lee for sending letters to the Commission on my behalf. I'm humbled by all their words and honored by their friendship and support. I also wanted to thank the Jenny Chair, Justin Palmer, my Jenny Commissioners, Peter Pierce, Andrea Brown, and Pamela Heeman, and all the other Jenny Commissioners for their careful consideration of my application and for their public service. I'd also like to thank Commission Secretary Janelle Baker, California Supreme Court Clerk Jorge Navarrete, Clerk and Executive Officer of the First District Charles Johnson, and the CHP for making this hearing happen. And finally, I want to thank Governor Newsom and his judicial appointment staff, Secretary Luis Cespedes, Deputy Secretary and soon-to-be Justice Gonzalo Martinez, and Deputy Debbie Kuhn. If confirmed, I promise to do my best to live up to the faith that they have placed in me. With that, I am happy to answer any questions that the Commission has.
Thank you. Questions?
I'll start with a comment and then ask a very important question. Full disclosure, I am very appropriately biased in support of Danny Chou. As a friend, as an attorney, as a judge, as a human being. I have had the opportunity to work with him personally, closely in the San Francisco City Attorney's Office, I've been able to provide my support for him to be appointed to be a trial judge and now appellate judge. And there's a lot of things that Judge Chou could do. He could do anything. And the fact that he's chosen service to serve on the bench, to serve the state of California, I think is something that we should all be grateful for. That the people of this state are lucky that you're willing to serve. And I had the honor of participating in your appointment as trial judge, and I want to share a story that talks about the many incredible attributes that Danny has, and there are many. He's first and foremost kind, a great team member, someone who you want in the foxhole, in the trenches with you, and I've been there with him, enjoyed the benefit of that partnership and that camaraderie, incredible judicial temperament, and sees the law as what it is and should be, a force for good, and has wielded it in that regard. But one thing that I think we all recognize, and sometimes one of the most important compliments one can have, is what your peers think about you, people who are doing the exact same thing, who are practicing and doing our best to be the best. And your peers have what I have for you, the greatest admiration and respect for you and your work, for your unlimited and boundless intellectual horsepower. When the Asian Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus had an opportunity to consider supporting him, Judge Chou, for his Superior Court role, we were all in a group text. Many of us are attorneys. San Francisco City Attorney David Chou was on that text, Ash Kalra, Al Murasucci, myself. And what stood out to me, it just struck me as very true, is City Attorney David Chou wrote, "Danny has a bigger brain than all of us combined. We should automatically support him for this and anything else he wants to do." And I'm like, agree, completely true. And we all know that to be true, his brain. But I do want to share, we argued in an en banc case together in the Ninth Circuit. It's something that's full of stress and hours of preparation, high stakes, and Danny was always there in a very supportive role, going through the record, highlighting the key parts, going over the arguments together, super responsive, always collaborative, while stressful, never under duress or stress, calm, collected, focused, and that's how he's always been. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, to enthusiastically support your nomination and your confirmation. And now to that very important question. When I was in the San Francisco City Attorney's Office, Danny was my team leader on that complex and affirmative litigation team. So my very important question is, who is your favorite supervisee at the San Francisco City Attorney's Office, present company included? That's Chou.
Well, I think buried the lead. So Rob was obviously a pleasure to work with and an honor. I also want to call out Owen Clements, actually, who's here as well, who worked with me on the complex and special litigation team. What I can say diplomatically is I loved every
Be a very successful politician as well as a judge.
Good job with that.
I say it in jest, just honored and privileged to be here, and can't wait to be able to officially support your nomination.
Thank you. Justice Humes?
I have no questions, but I can see that this is going to be a real grilling this morning. No, we already know you, Judge Chou. You've been pro temping and working at the First District for months and months, and you've already proven yourself here. You are highly successful as an appellate judge, and you make voting for your confirmation very, very easy. I will say that what impressed me the most about your application was that you gave a nod and an appreciation and a recognition to all the support you've received over the course of your life. You mentioned your parents, your father in particular, and your wife, and you've talked about how they helped develop and guide your moral compass. And I thought that was generous and insightful of you to do that. And I thank them for their support and for your entire support community, because you have a strong one. So thank you, and I look forward to voting for your confirmation.
Thank you, Justice Humes.
Thank you, Judge Chou. I don't have any questions to ask. I would just echo the statements of the members on this commission. and just thank you for being part of the judicial system. I know, given your background, it could have gone towards science, so we're the beneficiaries of that. Although you did describe in your written responses that you consider yourself to be, I think, a scientist of the law. And that exists. I was wondering if you could explain that to me and just give me some idea of what you're looking forward to the most of being an appellate justice.
Sure. I think, one of the things I learned when I was a scientist is part of your role is to take the data, take what you have, and look at it objectively and see what you can figure out from it. And I oftentimes think that that's what we're supposed to do as judges or justices. We get the facts, we get the law, we look at it objectively, and then we try to figure out how it should be based on those facts and that law. That's sort of the approach I take when I was a scientist, and it's a similar approach that I try to take as a jurist. And I think what I am most looking forward to is I love being a trial court judge, but as those of you who have been trial court judges know, it's kind of crazy down there. And you don't get a lot of time to reflect or think about stuff because you're constantly putting out fires. And as much as Terry says that I'm not a nerd, I am kind of a law nerd at heart. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to have a little bit more time to actually think about the cases and think about the issues and actually research and write about them. And I think that's what excites me about this position the most.
Thank you so much. This completes the list of witnesses who are testifying here today. Are the members of the commission prepared to vote? All in favor of confirming Judge Chou, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. On this record and the correspondence received, the commission finds Judge Chou qualified to be an Associate Justice of the Court of Appeal, First Appellate District, Division 5, and we confirm this appointment. Congratulations, Justice Chou.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Justice Chou has asked that Presiding Justice Terry Jackson administer his oath, so we'll be in a brief recess and we'll reconvene here shortly, and you're all welcome to attend that as well. Thank you. Huh?
Yeah.
Sit, Brett. It's a sit.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Presiding Justice Terry L. Jackson, and I have the distinct honor and pleasure to administer the oath to Justice Danny Chou. But I also would like to thank Justice Karen Fujisaki, because of Justice Fujisaki, I had come to know Danny Chou because we were pro tems in Division 3. And I have to tell you, I was a little nervous about your coming aboard. Because basically, it was Justice Petro, Justice Fujisaki, and myself, and we were just partying and having a good time. And we thought Judge Chou was going to come aboard, and I spoiled the party. We made him one of us. And we had a wonderful time, and that's how I had come to know you. And I am so happy and delighted that you are going to be joining me, as well as my colleagues, Justice Simons and Gordon Burns in the 5th Division, and the staff. So with that, could you please raise your right hand for the Office of Associate Justice, Court of Appeal, First Appellate District, Division 5. I,
Danny Chou. Just for information, I asked Terry to do this very slowly so I don't screw things up.
do solemnly swear that I support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, colleague.
Thank you.
We can. Oh, this way I have to. I might.
So, this is the portion of the ceremony where I get to thank everybody. Looking at the list of people that I needed to thank, I realized it was ridiculously long. So we won't be here for the rest of the month. I'm going to try to paint in fairly broad strokes. First, I wanted to thank everybody who sent a letter to the governor and to the Jenny Commission, and everybody who filled out a Jenny questionnaire, and everybody who spoke to people on my behalf. In particular, I wanted to mention the Asian American Bar Association, the Asian Pacific American Bar Association of Silicon Valley, and the California Asian and Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus for their support. I will be forever grateful for all of your support. To Justices Jackson, Simons, Burns, and my future colleagues, or I guess now my current colleagues, in Division 5 and the 1st District, I wanted to thank you for the warm welcome you have given me, and I can't tell you how excited I am to work with all of you. To the judges, staff, and attorneys in San Mateo County, I wanted to thank you for embracing me with open arms when I joined the bench, even though I'd never practiced in San Mateo before, and frankly, none of you really knew me at the time. I feel incredibly fortunate to be part of the San Mateo Court family, and I will miss you all dearly. I also wanted to specially recognize my PJs, Judges Susan Adjadi, Jonathan Karesh, Leland Davis, and Elizabeth Lee, for making sure that I received all the mentoring and training that I needed, and for giving me so many opportunities to grow as a judge. I also wanted to do a shout out to my court clerk, Jane Torres, and my bailiff, Deputy Mark Reed, who I've been lucky enough to have with me during my entire time on the bench in San Mateo. I couldn't ask for any better people to be in the trenches with me. Looking back on my career, I realized that I have been lucky enough to work at every level of state and federal court in California, where I have met and gotten a chance to work with so many incredible judges, research attorneys, law clerks, and staff. From all of them, I learned not only what it takes to be a judge, I learned what it means to be a judge. To my friends, many friends and colleagues in the San Francisco City Attorney's Office, Santa Clara County Counsel's Office, and Howard Rice, I couldn't imagine a better group of people to practice law with. You not only taught me how to be a lawyer, you also made me a better person. Last but not least, I wanted to thank my family who's here with me today, beginning with my aunts and cousins who are watching this on live stream, and my mother-in-law who actually flew here from her vacation in Korea to be here. I wanted to especially thank my brother and his family. About 10 years ago, my brother and his wife quit their jobs in the tech industry to start their own internet businesses so they could spend more time with their family. And their success has inspired me to take chances on my own career, like applying to be a justice on the Court of Appeal, but also serves as a constant reminder of how important it is to make time for your family. I also wanted to thank my mom, who is watching this on live stream from Maryland. As Tony mentioned, she's been a scientist at NIH for over 50 years. And discovered the genes for a rare genetic disorder, and I can only hope to contribute half of what she has contributed to society. She instilled a deep love of science in me at an early age, and although I decided not to pursue a career in science after graduating from college, my scientific background, I think, has really served me well in my career. I wanted to thank my son and daughter, Iris and Ian, for all their love and support. I want to give special thanks to Ian, who has made the ultimate sacrifice of being here on his birthday and agreeing to delay his celebrations until this weekend. To thank my wife and tell you what she means to me, I'm going to cheat a little. I'm going to borrow from Top Chef World All-Stars, a show we watch as a family. In the final episode, those of you who watch, Buddha had just won and is on the phone with his wife, telling her how much she means to him. And she responds by jokingly saying, "You would never be here without me, definitely 100%. And that made me instantly think of my wife, Sujong, for two reasons. First, I could see her saying the same thing to me. And second, she'd be right as usual. Last of all, I wanted to thank my dad, who's no longer here with us. My dad was a strong believer in serving the community and helped start the first Chinese school, the first Chinese American Community Center, and the first Chinese American Credit Union where I grew up. It's because of him that I've chosen to dedicate most of my career to public service, and I continue to do my best to make him proud. With that, I want to thank everybody for being here and also invite you all to a reception that Justice Jackson has graciously organized in the area of Division 5 after the hearings. Thank you.